Hello and welcome to the Strong Suit Podcast, where we focus on the people part of your business. Every single episode, I feature a world-class expert on talent and recruiting so that you can build a company filled with rock stars. And I am so pumped today to speak with my guest, Stephen George. Now, let me tell you a bit about Stephen and the business that he leads, which is a global business named Surkus, and that's Surkus with an S, S-U-R-K-U-S. Very cool. So Stephen is a Chicago native, now in West Hollywood, but he's on planes to Chicago, to Hong Kong, you name it, and he's going there. And the company is doing quite well. So Surkus is essentially a platform to connect people to the brands and events that they love. It's tailored to their interests. We're going to talk about exactly how it works in a minute. But it's a phenomenal curation platform of nightlife and comedy shows and classes and product launches and all that kind of stuff. Along the way, Stephen and his team have raised over $20 million in venture capital to scale the business. Most recently closed another round, including $13 million. So clearly on a roll and doing some great stuff. Now, what's interesting about Stephen is that he was actually an investor in the business, joined the company on a full-time basis as chief operating officer, now the CEO leading the business. And we're going to talk about that as well over the next 20 minutes. Please welcome Stephen George. How are you, Stephen?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So at a 60,000 foot level, maybe just start with a minute on the product. So, from the event organizer standpoint, the consumer standpoint, give us a sense of kind of how it works.
Yeah. So, we built this platform to be a two-sided marketplace to where we have clients and we have members. And the clients are really looking at our platform as a way to do customer acquisition, customer engagement, all geared around events and experiences. And on the member side, it's really this discovery platform where individuals can, download an app and then really get access and discover new experiences that they otherwise just probably wouldn't be able to find. It's not that they couldn't attend them, they couldn't find them, but it's, there's no real centralized hub for real-time experiences.
What would be an example of an experience I might find?
So when a brand does a pop-up, at a store, like a L'Oreal does a pop-up at a Macy's, it'd be very hard to find out about that unless you're somehow following the brand or the venue itself. The things that you could find are just like Chicago Boat Tour in Architecture Boat Tour that's been on it for 10 years.
Got it. So you can customize to your location and your interests, and it'll present the right things at the right time to the right person.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, so now we understand the context. How does it make money? What's kind of the revenue model?
So our clients is where we generate revenue from. Our members are getting the access. They're the ones engaging, giving whatever feedback or connection that the brands are looking for. But the brands are there, spending money on experiential, spending money on user acquisition, on engagement. And we found we're just a much more transparent, much more performance-based platform than any other outlet they've been able to, or a vendor they've been able to work with in the past.
Got it. Totally understand. Okay, great. So now you've got a unique personal story, as I mentioned, and I'd love to share a bit more about that as much as you feel comfortable, of how you go from investor to actually working in the business. So you go from working on the business to working in the business. That's very unusual. How did that kind of come to pass? And more importantly, how did you prepare yourself for that change?
Yeah, so I was introduced to this business through a mutual connection between, myself and the original founding team. And I really liked the potential of the platform where, you could really connect and introduce venues and experiences with new individuals. And it really, initially it focused on nightlife. And I thought, okay, that's a good in terms of kind of experiences. It's kind of the sexy type of events that, people get excited about. But it's not sustainable in terms of like an entire lifestyle. So I thought, okay, like I'm going to invest in this business, help in terms of just my thinking about how it could evolve, and hope the team takes it there.
Got it.
Now, with early success that the company had in nightlife, it was obviously difficult to continue to expand when they're really seeing some traction in that one vertical. And so they were focused on that. And I felt like it just, needed someone to come in and help them realize that this has so much potential across many different verticals.
What was an example of a second vertical that you kind of thought about and said, boy, this could be even bigger than nightlife?
So ticketed events.
Oh.
So I thought use the same platform that, targets people based on interest, based on demographic profile, but around ticketed events where concerts, sports have, massive distress inventory. Last year, 5.5 billion empty seats in the U.S. alone. So I'm like, that's such a space that's ripe to make that connection with new people, have them engage.
So you joined the business full time. Is that right? Full time?
Yeah.
Got it. And
about a year and a half ago.
Got it. And you then came to be CEO, and you told me in the pre-interview that you changed the organization quite a bit in terms of both size and kind of organization. Give us your thoughts on how you went about that. How did you decide to do that? Because it was pretty significant.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, we're a technology company. So I had to align the strategy with the team that really believed in it and with my strategy in terms of making this, a big platform. So I brought in a head of engineering and a head of product that really shared my vision and could run with it though on their own. And obviously
these were new roles. They didn't exist before.
Yeah, they were new roles.
Okay.
So initially there was just a CTO, and I felt like these two different roles would really help us accelerate because there is the product for the members and for the client, that experience. But then there's on the engineering, the back end side, our technology, which is us being this matchmaking platform.
Right.
And so it needed two different kind of insights. And I felt like that was better split up. They work obviously so closely together, but I felt like it was two very distinct roles.
You also made reductions in the size of the team and then grew it back up. So how did you think about how deep to cut? And then how did you think on the other side about how fast to grow? Like, how did you make those decisions? Was it gut? Was it Excel spreadsheet? Was it your board of directors?
So it was the next hire I knew I had to make was a really strong COO. Now that I've stepped into the CEO role, I felt like I needed that role, and to have that kind of partner that shared the overarching vision beyond the products, beyond engineering, corporate governance, corporate structure. And so I really brought in someone that had focused on that for better part of 20 years. He was COO at Citadel, actually, in Chicago, which was a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund focused on restructuring, on reorganizing, and really helping businesses reach profitability. And I felt like, as a tech company, a lot of businesses don't focus on how are you going to be profitable right away.
It's like an afterthought.
Yeah. And so I wanted someone that had that kind of insights, but, also shared my vision of we really need to scale, invest in the right places, and then we'll get there.
Well, because you were an investor, it took on a whole new meaning versus when an operating team is kind of playing with someone else's money.
Yeah. I felt like I'm playing with my money and other people's money that, have the same belief as me. And I need to take that into account, but also have the operational foresight to invest in the business. And so, I felt like bringing in that role was extremely important. And with my COO coming on board, that's when we decided, okay, we need to drastically kind of change the corporate structure and really all the individuals on the team to really support a much larger scalable business.
Got it. Which clearly that's happening. You're up to what, 35 people or so?
Yeah, we're 35. We have our office in Hollywood still, and then also we opened an office recently in Hong Kong, and we went live in Hong Kong already. So
great. So let me ask you a really basic question for some of the listeners. They could probably identify with this. Where did you learn how to hire people? Right? You probably didn't learn as an investor. So was it a previous job? Did you just read a book? Did you making it up as you go?
I would say all of the above. First and foremost, my first job, my first kind of experience in my career was working at Groupon. Mm-hmm. And Originally in the business, when I joined, there were 4 other people. So it was this very small team.
Yep.
And I was able to participate as well as just see our business grow to 10,000 plus employees in under 3 years. And, you
see the mistakes and you see the things that are done well when it comes to hiring, right?
Of course. And we were able to see that quickly because we were having to, grow and cut and grow and cut and, up to from 5 to 10,000 in 3 years.
Yeah. Incredible success story.
I learned a lot of, strategy along the way. And I try to take that into account when thinking about our business. It doesn't matter the scale of the business. It matters kind of the implementation of.
What was something you took away from that experience at Groupon, which for those who don't know this, the Groupon story was hyper growth, like almost once in a lifetime type of growth. What was something you took away from the recruiting process, whether it was working or not working, and implemented here at Surkus?
So I never say anything bad about Groupon because I love it. I think it's a fantastic model. And yes, it had amazing growth. But one thing where I feel like we could have improved on, and I think, that I really focus on when building and thinking about any business and thinking about even investing in a business is hire talent instead of hiring bodies to fulfill the lack of strategy, the lack of, infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that's something, we were growing so fast at Groupon, you can't fault us for needing to hire people to replace good process.
But inevitably, you're going to hire some people that are, I hate to say it, but kind of warm bodies, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're filling the space that, a good process technology can essentially just do better.
Right. So it's a clear learning that you took over here to Surkus.
Yeah, I feel like we're a company that can generate $100 million in revenue with 50 employees versus Groupon that probably had, 1,000 plus to do.
Your margins, once you get a two-sided marketplace going, the margins can be quite substantial on a percentage basis, on a gross margin percentage basis. What is unique, or what is most unique about the recruiting process at Surkus? Is there any unique step or phase or test or something that you do to ensure that you're not settling for warm bodies?
So I spend personally with every candidate. It doesn't matter if they're an intern or if they're an executive. I spend a lot of time getting to know them personally because I want to know.
You're still interviewing every single candidate, every finalist.
I'm meeting with them. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm interviewing them. I say I'm meeting with them to understand how they feel about our business.
Okay.
I want them to get through the interview process with our team. I think we have a great team that can vet really strong candidates. But I want to know that personally, that they have some connection to our business, to our members, to our clients. I think that at an early stage is extremely important in terms of just thinking outside the box.
They're not just coming for money.
Yeah.
Some emotional connection.
Not even just coming for, hey, I want to work on this type of technology as an engineer, or I want to do this kind of, marketing campaign. I want to, do user acquisition this way. I want them to think about, our members, our clients, our employees. I want them to think about everyone, every stakeholder in our business.
And along the way, I'm sure you've made a mistake or two.
Of course.
As all recruiters do. What can you share with the listeners? You don't need to go into gory details, but what can you share about what you might have missed? Or more importantly, how you might not have missed it if you had done things differently?
I think, you definitely can miss out on some amazing talent if you really just focus on their resume. And you can bring on some talent you're going to regret if you focus on their resume. And I'd say I've probably made more mistakes with the latter.
So be specific. When you say resume, we all know what that is. But what are you looking at?
They went to a certain school. They worked at a certain business. They, have X amount of years of experience. Those kind of things you need to obviously value, but you need to put them into perspective in terms of what type of value are they going to add to your business.
Yeah.
And your specific type of growth that you're looking for.
So you made two important points for the listener. By relying on the resume, which is just a sales brochure to begin with, and it includes a lot of things that you mentioned that are not very predictive of success, what school they went to, what companies they worked at, et cetera. But you also made a very important point, which is false negatives, right? You're missing out on a ton of great candidates because their
Absolutely.
resume doesn't blow you away, right?
Yeah. And, there's multiple people inside our business that I could say I wouldn't have been super impressed with their resume, but I'm very impressed with them, and they've been very successful in our company.
These are people that have joined.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the question becomes, how do you find them, or what do you look at? What markers do you look at? If you're not that impressed with the resume, what do you look at to know that they have the right stuff?
Now, I wasn't impressed, but someone in our company was.
Okay, but any idea what those things were?
What I'm saying is that I might not have been impressed with their resume, but someone else knew to look for something that I didn't.
Got it.
Based on the resume as a CEO, I didn't feel that it was the best fit, but they did because there was something that I missed.
Very good point. So making sure you're entrusting the people whose job it is to find great talent. Don't just rely on your gut feel and your instinct from a resume.
Yeah, because, I don't know kind of the special little talents that an engineer might have that, we need on our team that our head of engineering can find, but I can't. Same in marketing, and same in any real piece of our business. I have to rely on, I can bring on the higher level team that thinks about strategy in the right way in each department, but then I need to rely on them to push up the candidates that really are going to push our business ahead.
Got it. What's the number one concern that you have when it comes to the recruiting part of your business? When you think about, I know you just raised some funding, so I'm guessing some of that might be used for recruiting and hiring over the next year or two. What keeps you up at night with regard to hiring?
It's not having the network to find the talent we need, because we need to accelerate our growth always, as any business, I think, once they kind of get that product market fit, needs to do. It's where do I find the talent that keeps me up at night?
So it's the sourcing piece.
Yeah. And, I haven't, as I'm sure people have mixed feelings about, just hiring a recruiting firm or bringing it in-house, or, I'm always considering every potential avenue to find the candidates. I don't know that I know the best route. You can go industry specific with external recruiters. You can go in-house that's more broad, but then they're going to miss out on those kind of nuances in the resume that I said.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I have the best method figured out.
What have you done with these 30 or so hires you've made over the past couple of years? If you were to think about a pie chart, where are the biggest chunks where they're coming from? Is it employee referrals or recruiters or job boards or luck?
It's definitely referrals. It's either through my network of executives, of investors that are recruiting kind of or referring great talent. And then second to that is definitely, and not far behind, is employee referrals.
Do you have a formal employee referral program?
We don't, because I like to give everyone early on enough skin in the game, where I think it's important that they're doing it because, they already have enough of a incentive.
Yeah, they don't need a $500 check to make a difference.
Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. Last question. If you were to look back over these couple of years as you've scaled the business from, what was it, just a handful of people to over 30, what do you wish?
18 months.
What's that?
Really, in the last 18 months.
Amazing. What do you wish you had done differently? Anything that you could have done better or differently or faster or slower in hindsight?
I think our business is evolving. I'm pushing it to evolve as quickly as possible. I think, we can learn from mistakes faster. But I think, to build a great platform as we have built and as we'll continue to build, we need to come across those mistakes and learn from them. So I don't think there's anything I would have done completely different, but I would have learned faster.
Yeah, I wish we all could do that, right? Yeah. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being on the show today. Phenomenal experience. Congratulations. How can people learn more about Surkus or get in touch?
So you can learn more about the business by simply just going to our website, www.surkus.com. And if you want to connect with me directly, feel free to email me. I'm always interested in connecting with great people. So my email is Steven@Surkus.
And Surkus is Surkus. And Steve and George, thank you so much for making the time today. We very much appreciate your wisdom.
Thanks so much.